Okay, so tomorrow marks the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. So anything that's going to happen is going to happen in the finale tomorrow. And honestly, I'm a little bit worried. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach the Nerd. And in this video, I'm basically giving you my fears and thoughts on what's going to conclude in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, there were a lot of choices that were made in the first 3 episodes that I kind of wasn't cool with, only because, and it's not because I love comics, which I do. It's not because I've read them for a long time, which I have. It's just common sense things that bothered me. So I'm going to talk from a fan's perspective and not a comic person or nerd perspective, because I kind of feel like a lot of people that watch Crisis or Arrowverse, not a lot, but some, aren't comic fans. So maybe for you, this isn't a big deal. But if you think about it logically, it may bother you too with some of the choices that were made. So before I get started with this, I did do a collaboration video where we kind of had a long rant about it. And I'll post it below with my friend Blurred Without Fear. So check it out and make sure to subscribe to his channel. But yeah, so I will do a quick recap of things we didn't like in Crisis. Not all, because there was a lot. There were things I liked, but a lot of things that they just rubbed me the wrong way. And then I will talk about what I'm going to talk about. So I want to know why they thought it was a good idea to save Lois Lane and Iris West in the original Crisis. Now, the only reason I'm saying that, as I've said multiple times in other videos, that I love these characters. I don't always like the writing for Iris West, but I love the character. I just do not understand, outside of their love interests and the effects they have on their partners, what their actual role was going to be in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So hear me out. If Monitor was sending Harbinger to take people throughout time that were going to be instrumental in saving the multiverse, why didn't they take people that were instrumental in saving the multiverse? Like, if I were going to save people from Argo City, I'm not going to save Lois Lane. Because, yeah, she's smart, but she's a reporter. And she just talks and gives the news and updates people on what other people are doing to save the world. So with all of the Earths collapsing and being destroyed by the Anti-Monitor's wave, then who is she reporting to? She even made a comment like that in the series itself, saying, you know, this is the biggest story ever and I have no one to tell it to. Exactly. She's literally sitting there pushing buttons on a computer. And that is literally anybody's job, or could have been anybody's job, in that same perspective. Like, if you're going to save Lois Lane, why not save Lynn from Black Lightning, who's a physicist, or Gamby, who's freaking amazingly strategic and technical? Why Lois Lane? And on top of that, if you're going to save anybody from Argo City is a planet made up of Kryptonians. Why not save the entire planet of people and make them swarm in like Lantern Corp does in the comics? You know, you see all the Green Lanterns just come into the sectors and, like, you know, it's on when they all show up. I mean, how cool it would have been to have a wave of Kryptonians coming in, taking care of business. I don't understand the choices. I also don't get why in Black Lightning's universe you take Black Lightning into the equation, but you leave Thunder and Lightning out. So you don't have Anissa, you don't have Jennifer, 2 of the most powerful people or metahumans in the DC universe outside of the Kryptonians. It makes no sense. I mean, they had Black Lightning shortening out a treadmill when his daughter's a freaking battery. They just could have had her in there draining it, and it would have took like 2 seconds. But I guess you couldn't kill alternate, Barry Allen if you had Jennifer come in and save the day like that. So of course they were too powerful to save the day. You see, it just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, those choices are very strange. Something else that's always bothered me is Kingdom Come Superman. I love Brandon Routh. I loved him as Superman and Clark Kent. I did not like Superman Returns. I felt like it was a poop storm, only because, and like, I love Christopher Reeve's Superman run, him and Margot Kidder. I love their chemistry. I loved her as Lois Lane. But in Superman 2, for them to be together, he stepped into a chamber and took his powers away, and then they consummated their relationship. So you're going to have me believe that in years later, 5 years later, according to the movie, that Lois Lane had a baby and now a 5-year-old son that is half Kryptonian and has powers. How does that work? If Clark was human at the time with no Kryptonian DNA, stripped all of it out, how did they produce a Kryptonian child? But whatever. So that happened. And then, of course, Lois Lane, according to what we learned in Crisis, was one of the victims of the Joker's gas when he gassed the building. Which they didn't say the Joker, of course. I guess they can't say it. They don't have the rights to it. I don't know. Batwoman drops the Joker's name all the time in CW and Arrowverse, but for some reason they just didn't say the Joker. So, whatever. But my thing with that is, if Jason, and he does, and Brandon Routh Superman, Kingdom Come Superman, does say to Lois when he sees a picture of Jonathan Kent, saying, or when he sees Jonathan Kent, I'm sorry, that he reminds him of his son Jason, which, number one, you only found out that was your son when he was 5, so you actually weren't around when he was a baby, so how do you know what he looked like unless you saw pictures? I don't know. And number two, Jason is half Kryptonian. So why not save him? He would be like, what, in his late 20s, maybe early 30s at this point? He literally threw a piano at Lex Luthor on the ship in Superman Returns. So I'm pretty sure he would have been instrumental to helping his dad out fight, for the multiverse. Why was Jason not pulled? I mean, these are questions I have. Kid Flash, where is he? Yeah, he's on sabbatical, but I mean, come on, the worlds are collapsing. You can't meditate in Tibet if there is no Tibet. Where's Kid Flash? I mean, where is everyone? Is everyone hiding in the Speed Force? I don't know what's happening in Crisis. The people that they pulled make zero sense. I understand why Supergirl had to be there. In the original Crisis, she dies, and I know she's not going to die in this version because then her show would be over. I know why Kate Kane is there, even though technically still throwing batarangs at things is not going to help anybody, But I get why she's there because, World's Finest, they're going to have their little relationship. So it establishes the next phase where the new Oliver and the new Barry are going to be Kate and they're going to be Kara. So that would be the new best friend dynamic. But right now, it's like you pick these characters. Like even the Legends, it's like, yes, Sarah Lance is cool. She's badass. But I mean, she's still human. And then you leave people behind that have abilities that are helpful to actually save the multiverse. So in my mind, they aren't trying to save the multiverse. So that is what bothers me a lot about Crisis. So that's just a summary, other than the Easter eggs that were really too fast and the people that died in the Easter eggs annoyed me too, like Helena from Birds of Prey, but whatever. So here are my questions going forward. So how are they going to be resurrected? We know that this is basically a copy of Avengers Endgame. It really is. Down to how Iris and Arrowverse Superman, who's probably the weakest Superman out of all of them, pretty much gets wiped from existence. And then, of course, you have Lex Luthor write himself in and Kingdom Come Superman out, which is also extremely bright. But, okay, so hear me out. So how are they going to bring them back? We know they're not going to come in portals like Endgame. There's not going to be a snap. So is it going to be time travel? If they do time travel, there's two ways they can do it. They could either use a Wave Rider or they can use John Constantine, because in the comics, the comic version of John Constantine, which I've seen him play a little bit around, I think they played with an episode where he did go back in time in Legends to try to save, I forgot her name. It'll come to me. But anyway, he has the ability to portal to the past. So if Constantine is still around, they can bring everyone back. But if he's not, then there's just a Wave Rider. But even still, if things are fixed points, sometimes I thought, and I may be going by Doctor Who logic, because that's Doctor Who logic. If it's a fixed point, sometimes you can't undo it. So I don't know how they're going to play that out. But how are they going to bring everyone back? That is my question. I know that Constantine is going to be in the next 2 episodes, but it seems to me it's after other people are brought back. Like we see Dreamer, we see, Mad Dog, we see all of the people that essentially were killed. So, yeah, I would like to know how they get to that point from that point. So that's just my question there. Are we going to see more Psycho Pirate? We saw him in Elseworlds, I believe. What's his role going to be? Obviously, he's not going to kidnap Barry Allen and make him turn against the rest of the Earths, because there are hardly no Earths left. So his role in the original Crisis is not existent in this one. So is he going to be in it? Because they made it seem like he was going to play a role. If I remember correctly, I think it was Monitor that I know he had Dr. Destiny free everyone in Arkham Asylum, but I don't know if Psycho Pirate's going to play a role in this, or if he does, if it's going to be the next crossover. I don't know. It's interesting how they're all playing, they're tying in, but because they're doing their own thing now, like with Oliver becoming Spectre so early, it could go anywhere. There's so many elements. So like, back to Jennifer. Let's do this. So Jennifer, when she was in Earth 1 and Earth 2, I don't know if it was Earth 1, I think it was Earth 1 and Earth 2 versions of herself, and she was in the parallel worlds that were all coinciding, which still, I don't understand how she was in Earth 2. I'm not going to understand that because Earth 2 was destroyed in the season premiere of Arrow. So I don't know how she was there because that episode predates her episode in the timeline, because right after that, her family gets wiped. So her body like went into particles. Where is she? Is she just floating around in space? We do know that she can fly above the Earth and, take energy from the sun. She did it, or from stars, or whatever she was doing in her episode. So is she just floating somewhere casually in space? I mean, I have questions. And Oliver, are we going to see his godlike powers? Like he's supposed to be like this huge entity that like overshadows and looks down on everybody. Is that going to happen? Because right now he just looks like he's in another version of Green Hood, so walking around. And yes, he doesn't understand his powers yet, but I mean, I thought Corrigan by now would have been like, yeah, you have the power to do this and that and that. You are one of the most badass characters in the multiverse. But it just kind of seems like they've dumbed it down a lot. And they do that with a lot of their powers, to be fair, they do. Martian Manhunter has amazing abilities, and he doesn't use a third of them in Supergirl. So I know that is the Arrowverse's and CW's like formula. Maybe because it's too expensive CG-wise to do them all. But yeah, I know that they do that. They kind of dumb a lot of them down. But I have so many questions. I mean, time travel for me would be the most logical choice of bringing everyone back. I mean, even Barry can run back in time, but he always messes stuff up when he does. So the repercussions from him going back in time and saving everyone could lead to even worse things later on. So, yeah. And a lot of people blame the Flash for splitting the universes anyway, even though technically, if I remember correctly, and this is a long time ago, and I don't remember his name, but the founder of the Lantern Corps had something to do with the original multiverse splitting because he wanted to see creation. And he did something, I cannot remember to this date what it is because it's been years since I read that, but it caused the multiverse, the Earths to split. So we can blame the Lanterns for that. And speaking of Lanterns, are we going to have John Diggle as Lantern? This has been one of my biggest wishes since we learned that they were doing Crisis, because John Diggle is, in my mind, Jon Stewart. He just is. His life, like most of the things in his life about his military service, yes, he was in the Army, and Jon Stewart was, I think, Navy or Marines, but still, so many aspects of his life parallel Jon Stewart to the point where I think he could be Jon Stewart. He even implied that his last name really isn't Diggle. So, if he is Jon Stewart, are we going to see him? This is to me, having him or another version of him from another Earth when they bring everyone back as Lantern, or not even when they bring him back, because who knows? The Lantern Corps could be fine. I mean, I think we're getting a Lantern show too. I don't remember which network it is, but they did announce that they were talking about doing one. I don't know if it's 2021, 2022. But I will be livid if we get a Hal Jordan version of the Green Lantern before we get Diggle as Jon Stewart, when the fans have been asking since season 1 of Arrow for him to be Jon Stewart. We have Lynn Stewart on Black Lightning. Technically, in some versions of the comic theorist world, they are related. They're brother and sister, and that's why Lynn has so many issues with Jefferson being a superhero, because she had to deal with it with her brother. And in some versions, they're not related at all. So it just really depends. But that would be amazing to me if they have Diggle come out as Green Lantern in the last 2 episodes. Will it happen? Probably not. Probably because my dream list in the ghosts are guys of what I want and what's actually happening in reality in Crisis. I'm not getting what I want. I do think it would be amazing. It would be amazing to have not only Jon Stewart Green Lantern. But all of Lantern Corps come cruising in last minute and be like, yeah, we're here. Stand back. We got this. And that would be flippin' amazing to me. It just would. I know they're probably going to bring back Kingdom Come Superman and Arrowverse Superman because, I mean, they have to. I don't know. I honestly wish that they had done another scene with Tom Welling where he got his powers back just to fight. I would love to see him in the suit. But, I mean, honestly, the actor himself never wanted Clark to keep his powers, and he never wanted the show to go on as long as it did. So the fact that they got him to come back at all, I guess, is a good thing. But it's just so, for me, it's so weird, to have Smallville Clark Kent depowered. Only because his world, his Lex, is now president. And they even said in Smallville, I can't remember what season even now, I've been racking my brain trying to find the episode, where it was prophesized that Lex becoming president led to his world's Armageddon. And so he gave up his powers with that knowledge. And even mentioned that Lex was already president. So it's like, oh, you just don't care. It's completely fine. Plus, married to someone like Lois who consistently gets into trouble, how would you be secure with no powers married to her? Because she's going to die or she's going to get you killed. So like that whole thing to me was strange. Just to have kids when you could have just gone to the Fortress of Solitude and, shined a red light on yourself and got it on and there you go. I mean, it worked in Kingdom Come's universe. I mean, he's got a 5-year-old, or at this point, 20-something, 30-something-year-old, half Kryptonian running around. So I don't understand the choice. Arrow versus Lois and him went off to Argo City, where he has no powers, and were able to conceive Jonathan Kent. But now I'm wondering, and I guess it's Kryptonian DNA. He didn't wipe it. It's just like maybe like a power dampening on their world because of the gravity and the Earth's different, or the sun's different. But they were able to conceive Jonathan Kent. So why couldn't Smallville be the same way? I just have questions because if you watch Smallville, they were so pro Superman being the savior of the world, and he's like, nah, I'm just a farmer. Even though I did like the fact that he let Lex know that he was still stronger than him and smarter than him and could still take him out with or without powers. That scene with John Cryer was awesome with his Lex. But it just doesn't make sense. I always thought Smallville, for me, actually founded the Arrowverse because it came first. If those 10 seasons did not do well, there would never have been an Arrow. So with that regard, as a matter of fact, they did an Aquaman pilot that did not do well with the Arrow actor from Smallville. And then they went on to do a new version of Arrow, but not taking the actor who played Ollie in Smallville. And Stephen Amell made it his own, and I understand that that was a new beginning, but Smallville started that run. In the end, that's just what it was. So having Tom Welling come in epically with this huge, evolved fight would have been absolutely amazing, but I don't think it's because of the writers. I think it's the actor who didn't want to do it, because he never wanted to wear the suit, so what can you do? But yeah, I have so many questions. I want to know, when and we're going to call it the unofficial snap because I know it's not a snap, but when everyone comes back snap style, I want to know how it's going to happen, but also what's going to happen then. Because at this point, if we're going by Crisis of Infinite Earths logic, all the Earths should be condensed to one Earth, which means everyone's sharing one Earth now. So even your counterpart and you will probably be on one Earth. So how's it going to work with someone like Helena? From Birds of Prey. Huntress is going to go into Gotham, and it's not going to be New Gotham, and she's going to be like, I'm here. And Kate Kane's like, no, there's only one Kate wearing, lady in this city, and that is me. And so they'll be stepping on each other's toes, and it's going to be a thing. And then you got their version of Barbara Gordon. We don't know what happened to Barbara Gordon in Batwoman yet. We haven't come across that. But, how are they going to coincide? And if Alfred's still alive and kicking in New Gotham and Birds of Prey's world, how are they going to coincide? And then, of course, and I forgot her name, the daughter of their version of Black Canary, who had the telekinesis abilities in Birds of Prey, is also the same actress who plays Alice in Batwoman. So how are they going to coincide? In Supergirl, you're going to have a very interesting time if the Smallville world's Lois is in the same Supergirl world's Lois, because that's also Alora, the actress Eric Durance plays both characters. So how's that going to work? There's so many questions that I have. How are they going to do that? Because if you look at Avengers Endgame, when they did the snap and everyone came back, the people were reappeared right where they were, or in apartments they used to have or whatever. And they're always 5 years have gone by. Well, this won't be a big time leap, it'll be a world leap. So everybody's worlds are going to coincide. So all these doppelgangers are going to be running around, and I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting. And I don't know how they're going to address that. I don't know if it's going to recreate all the multiple Earths, but then what's the point of having Crisis? Because in my mind, you just want all your main central characters to be able to just see each other whenever the heck they want, and they have to worry about going to another parallel Earth to see them, you know? So, yeah, I got questions. I don't have any answers, so maybe you guys do. So yeah, I've been ranting a little bit, I've been raving a little bit, but I want to know what you think. Tell me your theories on how you think Crisis on Infinite Earths is basically going to conclude tomorrow. I want to know the best theories because those 2 hours tomorrow can make or break my sanity. So please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to know who's next on the nerd ballot, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye guys. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.